Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I think that's the order. Oh, I did it out of order. I'm Ray Orsini, host of MMN Presents, the ConnectWise PitchIT Spotlights, I guess we're calling it. Why not? And
Yeah.
here is what are we calling you? Chancellor Supreme this year? I know we had a ton of adjectives last year.
The El
Let's go
Royale with
Chancellor.
the El Royale with cheese. That's what I'm gonna be called.
The Royale with cheese, as they say in France. Mr. Sean Lardo, something, something, something with a ridiculously long ass title.
Yeah.
How you doing,
I
brother?
always wanted to, I always looked at like the LinkedIn profiles, and everybody has all these, like they all have these acronyms after, like a lot of them, and I
Yeah,
just
those
want
are
my own.
those are called accomplishments. Those
Yeah,
are
like I said, letters, like alphabet. There's like all these. I didn't know if they. Well, I know in some cultures they have multiple names, so I wasn't sure if that was what they
right,
were
right,
all.
right, right.
I felt left out.
So you're looking at your like PhD and Gomez. Those are just surnames. Those are just
I feel
yeah,
like they are.
yeah, makes sense.
Well,
No,
PhD
I
is a
think Jeff
shortened
Bishop probably has
version.
everybody beat, but
Oh God,
it's
yeah, he
fair to say.
does. Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? He's such an overachiever. Then I have to step up because he does all this.
His lower third went across the entire screen. So, all right. So those of you that are joining, if you had seen last year, you'll know that we've done this. This is our second year in a row.
Yep.
Yeah. So our second year in a row where we go over all the PitchIT contestants, and we'll go over what PitchIT is. But we'll go over the PitchIT contestants. We're going to try to do 2 at a time per episode. Keep it a little shorter so you guys can get what you need and move on with life. We know middle of the workday is not always easy. If you have to step away, this is immediately recorded and available right afterward on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the things with video and words. So with that said, Sean, it's been a year. Remind me what PitchIT is. What are you guys doing at ConnectWise?
So, well, I have to correct you on this. It's now IT Nation PitchIT. We are separating
Oh,
church and state in this regard.
okay.
Okay.
That's right. Big changes
Uh,
last year. Yeah.
absolutely.
Or,
And it's important to address it that way because ConnectWise is a SaaS product company. We know that. Where IT Nation is a community and it does adopt everything in the ecosystem. However, back to your question of PitchIT itself, what is up with PitchIT? Well, going back to the basic rules, things have not changed. It is a Shark Tank like competition for startup vendors that are in our space. They have to be able to do two things. Most importantly, is they have to be able to support the mission of MSPs. Whether they're selling to or selling through is irrelevant. It's all an MSP play. Second is they have to be able to integrate and also integrate into our community and ecosystem and ConnectWise as a whole as a certified integrator, right? That's what we're looking for. As I mentioned, it's a competition, but there is an accelerated incubator program where these vendors are going through 16 weeks of everything from workshops on sales and marketing to branding, to messaging, to public speaking, to product marketing, to even over to how to set up roadmap development, right? All that's taking place over 16 weeks.
and they're doing it just because it's fun, right? Like there's no benefit for getting at the end of the day. It's just like, just waste some time. It's like summer camp for MSP vendors, right?
Basically, yeah. They love spending time with me. At some point, we do marshmallow roast and sing kumbaya. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Zoe. But you're absolutely right. These two again.
The Rick and Morty of the MSP space.
You know what, Doctor? Yeah, this year's shirt.
Or Waldorf and Stadler, but one of the two.
I'll take whatever. Which I prefer way better because I want to just make fun of
people. Yeah, agree. From Muppets overall. Yeah.
Yes. So again, they go through the 16 weeks, and no, they do. It is what they would have to do anyway because they're also doing these live streams and podcasts and everything else. So they're getting exposure while they work on their speak. So it's the best of both worlds. So again, the whole goal right now, we have 26 vendors in again this year. At the end of this, at the end of August, they will do their public pitch off, and we will narrow it down to 3 finalists that will compete live on stage at IT Nation Connect in November for the grand prize of $70,000. Second place is
whoa, $70,000?
Yeah, 70. Yeah, 7.
That's like $10,000 times 7.
Or $140,000 divided by 2.
Oh. So is it too late to sign up for PitchIT? Because 70 grand sounds good. That's liquor money right there. That's
yes, it's too late. You're back to speaking French. You're shit out of Olaco. So no, it is done for now. The competition started in second week of May. We announced all 26 people that were admitted. And keep in mind, and I think it's important to say now, everybody that applies does not get in. This is not like, catch all. We don't have a shortage of applicants at this point.
You're
It
not
is.
the YMCA at this point, right? Is
No,
that what you're
right.
saying?
We're not right. Exactly. Or the Goodwill or anything. We are now, and we always were to a degree, but we really are now becoming an elite program in competition in space because we're really the only ones doing this. So
So, and I see here we have, and we're going to get to the contestants because, like I said, I promised to keep this short. But I think it bears notable mention our friends who won last year.
yes,
Can you, as I try to fix this screen,
it's going really well.
yeah, can you talk to us about these people and what happened
Oh,
last year? I was in attendance at Connect and
man,
saw them receive the big check. Tell us about these people.
I'll tell you, Thread, man, they did a nice job. Bobby and Mark and Mike and Matt, rather, they're good people, man. They did a really nice job. Think about this. Something that really people should pay attention to is that over 60 or 70% of these vendors were or are currently MSPs. So they're not the most savvy when it comes to sales, but they built a solution to solve a problem they had internally, and they realized they were able to give us and scale it to other MSPs. So, and Thread is no different from this because Mark and Matt both worked in MSPs, and
Yeah.
the best part about this is they did such a really nice job at learning how to pitch and actually talk about their program, what their solution was, but they've invested heavily into our space. I don't know. There was an article written from CJ Fairfield from CRN at earlier this year on the 3 finalists, where all 3 finalists realized over 3 million in ARR during the course of the
Wow.
pitcher program. Yeah. So, and Thread really did it
Fantastic.
though, man. Thread really learned how to position themselves. First off, they won, which was great. But even before they knew they were even going to win, they had already sponsored a huge social lounge outside of the right around the corner from where the keynote was taking place. And then they had their booth as well. So literally, when
Yeah.
the announcement was made on main stage at the keynote, and their logo was up there, everybody came out and was like, "Oh, we saw you," and
Yeah.
they leveraged the hell out of it. They did really good, and their product is phenomenal. One thing, and you know this because you know me well enough, I can't do redundant work. If it's redundant, I break out in hives and I shut down, right? And
Yeah.
they've because it's stupid as shit. But what they were able to do is do everything within a chat to do and take away redundancy by having everything to integrate into our PSA, right? And it made it better. So, and by the way, they told me this. I saw it.
Yeah, no.
It made sense.
Well, and that I'm sure that version, knowing them for as long as I've known them, that version of the pitch is so much more succinct than what they originally told me when I met them 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
So,
It was actually, dude. I'll tell you what. After last year's finals, and I didn't really think about it, because it's like having. I mean, they're not my children, but it's like having children when you're raising them. You don't see their growth like when you're with them every day.
Yeah.
You don't pay attention. But there were vendors that watched the finals that said, "Wow, these guys put a clinic on." All of them. They were like, "These are the best pitching vendors at Connect right now." So it was like a proud dad moment for me. But nobody knows how to pitch. They suck. They're horrible at it. So that's all.
yeah, well, that's the point, right? And that's what PitchIT is. You have a finite amount of time to get your pitch out. That's the hardest thing to work on, and that's the point. So, without further ado, let's get our first guest up on the screen. We have Mr. Larry Garcia, co-founder of Strety. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing well, Ray. Nice to see you.
Did I
Nice to
pronounce
see you
that
too, Sean.
correctly? Or
You perfectly.
awesome.
What's
I got
up,
my
Larry?
one good thing done for the day. So
Yeah, he's done. He's done, Larry. Trust me, it's over.
All right, take care, everybody. No.
Well, credit.
All right, dude. So give us, what is this? What's Strety? How did it come from? Don't tell us about you yet. We're going to find out about you. Tell us about Strety. How did that come to the space?
Yeah, we had another company that I wasn't a founder. I'm a first time founder now, but it was Bright Gauge, and we had a real tough 4 years. Just struggling, trying to get product market fit. And the moment that we read the Traction book by Gino Wickman, it was huge for us. So I think that, and starting to do sort of one-on-one meetings between managers and direct reports, those two things were fundamentally changed the company. And we went from sort of 7 to 8 people to 35 in 2 years, very calmly, very process oriented. Wow. It was like a light turned on for us. Yeah. And at the time, this is 2014, 2015, there really isn't any software in the market. There is now, there's broad SMB competitors of ours. But we had started, we started coding something. It looked more like Microsoft DOS than what we built today.
What's wrong with that?
It's true, right? The original
generation.
It
It was
changed the
pretty
entire
good.
generation.
Mr. Lardo, you guys have Automate. You cannot talk UX at all.
Sorry. Sorry.
And I love Automate. It's my favorite RMM, but as
I'm gonna sit here
impartial as I
quietly.
can be.
Yeah. So we started building something, and we kind of just let it languish for a long time, and really picked it up here in the past year, and starting to build again and hire developers. And so it's essentially put frameworks, business frameworks like Traction, Pinnacle, scaling up, those type of things, and get MSPs to be just more efficient. Get rid of redundancy, like Sean just mentioned. People are doing some stuff in ConnectWise, but they're doing some stuff in a Google Doc, stuff like that, and trying to kind of live where MSPs live already, which is typically Microsoft Teams. That's kind of our big platform that we're in right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, why Teams? There's so many areas where you can operate. This one, this is not AI and Notepad, right? Like, I still question why Microsoft did that. But having this run out of Teams where you're already communicating, is that the reasoning, or what was the reason for Teams specifically?
Yeah, that was kind of our first initial people trying it out. Was like, I live in Teams. I'm tired of something else to log into, and so we built it with single sign-on right inside of that Microsoft Teams platform. You get like your alerts for upcoming rocks or meetings or issues, all from a chatbot inside of Microsoft Teams. So it's pinging you there.
And I'll give notable mention. I'm thinking, like, you said you were struggling. I'm like, I was a very happy Breakage user, especially having gone down. But I was also a little later than 2014, 2015. Yeah. You guys probably already hit your stride when.
Exactly.
It was honestly one of my favorite pieces of software, and the most fantastic tech support I've ever had in my life. With the video responses and stuff. The Breakage were the guys that I think it was Eric or somebody put me onto the video app you guys were using for tech support responses. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so you got some experience in the space. You're like, this is fun. Let me go found something. And then you found this company.
And then you're going for punishment. And you come back again. That doesn't sound right.
Like what the hell? So like what? Why do this? Why do it again? If you already had an exit, you're already happy. Why do this again?
I think just having a lot of conversations with a lot of MSPs that didn't have frameworks, right? And a lot of it is a lot of gut feel, a lot of like not having, efficient processes in place as far as running people, meetings, goals, stuff like that. And it just seemed like a good time to get into the market and say, all right, can we make an MSP specific application, right? And not have, for the people that are using something, not use a broad SMB thing, but something that's connected.
I'm familiar with Traction, and most of us are. Most of us are familiar with Traction EOS. As you're aware, implementation is everything. It like 100%. That is the make or break when it comes to EOS. Can you give some just 2 or 3 points of where MSPs like have a niche need or have a very specific need that's not addressed by general implementations of EOS?
Yeah, I think the needs as far as software goes for doing that implementation is, for example, let's say that you have your weekly meeting and you have a follow-up item, right? It's a weekly meeting, so probably a lot of the times people won't do that follow-up item because they'll look at that Google Sheet or one of our competitors once a week, right? It doesn't live where they live. Right. Where us, you'll be able to send that into a ConnectWise ticket, for example. Or if, for example, you had a rock, you can update that rock from project tickets in ConnectWise, right? As project tickets are being closed out. If you have, an issue come up, or it's a sales activity that's coming from an issue, you can send that into activities into ConnectWise. So it was the sort of slippage, right? Like the 30% of the time when you come back, like, I forgot about that one. Like, when I have 30 minutes, so I do it right now. Does it roll over? This, you get it done, and then come Tuesday, for example, you're getting a chatbot saying, hey, you have a to-do to follow up from that weekly meeting.
So it's basically you productized a service, essentially. I mean, it's already been, EOS was productized in its own way. If you bought the pamphlet, basically, right? And you followed that like back in the day. So you digitalized and productized this through Teams?
It's essentially that. It's being able to lever that inside of Teams, right? So, anybody can do this out of, PDF, like Sean, like the old days, right? But at this point, it's either you read the book and then you use a piece of software, right? Or you use like Planner, or you use a notebook, right?
Yep.
But as everybody knows, like it's just so much easier what's inside of software, and it's reminding you, and it's interconnected to 5 different things, right? A to-do is connected to a rock, to an issue, to a quarterly meeting that you can get to it with one click, as opposed to kind of clicking around or looking through papers.
Yep, that makes sense.
If they have, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sean. Go. You're good.
I was going to say one thing is this. I think Teams was a good start with this in general because I hated SharePoint until Teams existed. Fact, right? I mean,
So true.
SharePoint sucks ass until you
To be
add.
fair, I hate Teams, but that is one of the blessings. It makes SharePoint manageable. Yes,
It is files and everything else. So it makes sense. Now you're one place communicating. You can organize it into a channel, into a thread. And, again. So I love it. I'm done talking now, but I want to state SharePoint was awful. Done.
Yeah.
So, Larry, let me ask you a quick question. Most MSPs, most businesses in general that are using EOS, have an implementer. Does this go against that, or can the implementer continue to work with them through this, or have you worked on it? Like, have you considered?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. We work with EOS implementers today. I think as far as we're not officially licensed by EOS worldwide, so there are
Right.
I think 7 trademark terms we can't use, and so if you can live with sort of the generic terms for those 7 trademark terms, but yeah, we work with EOS implementers today. We have a relationship with them. We have coaching licenses where they can view their various customers and drop down. We're actually building a dashboard. Again, this is like Breakage DNA stuff. We're building a dashboard so that like a coach can see multiple clients at once, sort of in a Breakage like fashion. But we're working with them today. So, both self-implementers and people, they're implementing with a coach. We work with both.
Nice. All right. So do you have any screens to share? It's okay if you're not, because I gave you zero preparation, but want to give you opportunity to take your last 2 minutes to share anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start up the screen share.
And if you guys have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I know Keith had brought up a question asking about use. Sean, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'm looking at. So, you're talking about Keith? Oh, hi, Keith. Good seeing you again. Great. Thanks for being long-time caller, long-time listener, first-time caller. Yeah. So Keith was asking about if you can see this, Larry, even.
Yeah. Can you see my screen, by the way, Sean?
The producer will bring it up. Danny will bring it up in a minute.
If you see the question, then go. I'm not going to say a word.
Oh, I didn't see the question. What was the question?
Okay. I thought
you
were based off the question. Yes. Sorry. Which one are you talking about here, Ray? I know you want me to ask a question. Is Keith about the mobile version?
It was a Keith question. It was, what about non-MSPs? The one that
was
on
what about,
screen.
Yeah. Well, it's Keith. He has 25 things written here, dude. So which one was I going to go with? He says,
First say hi to Dad, and then you ask.
Yeah. Well, first off, Keith doesn't consider himself an MSP, so that's why he says this. So what about them?
We do work with a lot of non-MSPs. So construction industry, probably our largest non-MSP is Duracell, who's using us.
Wow.
So we work with a lot of non-MSPs, and even for the MSP side, there is a partner program. So if they have customers, they can resell licenses to their customer base as well. So absolutely work with non-MSPs.
Very nice. All right. So what are we looking at here? So
you're inside my Microsoft Teams, right? And so it's an app inside of Teams, single sign-on with my Microsoft license, and I'm here in a landing page. So I am in one of the various teams that I'm a part of. So I'm here in leadership team. Gives you a little bit of a dashboard on, my OKRs or rocks, any issues I have pending. I can run, meetings, once a week, going through the agenda, and I can modify that. I can even have one-on-one meetings, with my direct reports. So I can have a standing, with Stefan one-on-one, talk through a couple of talking points. I can run, quarterly reviews if I needed to, or even just look through the company and share, what's the vision for this company? What's the org chart look like? So sort of anything in here from framework. And to be clear too, we, primarily started sort of in the EOS world, but there's a lot of great frameworks out there, the scaling up world, the Pinnacle world, so those are supported as well in here. And then little by little, just because we're proud of kind of getting back into reporting and dashboards, we're building sort of reports on the system, right? So we kind of want to make a Breakage experience here for the reporting engine for Strety.
I appreciate that. I think aggregating stuff is so important in a very simple, digestible way because that's the hardest part. Taking data and putting it in the right place, the right time, that's consumable is so difficult. So I think that's good. I appreciate
Yeah,
that more than most.
yeah, we're super excited about that, and just taking everything we learned from Brightgauge in the BI world and applying it to companies and people. So just trying to make it more efficient and trying to make people a little bit better as far as being managers of companies and people.
So that, and this is a great question, right? And right on cue. Like, what has helped people that are not EOS? Like, is there that's a good question, right? If I've never done EOS, I don't understand it because it is a discipline, right?
It's a good
Ultimately.
point. Yeah, we didn't
So
define what EOS is. Yeah, you want to, Larry? You're supposed to
Yeah,
be pitching. You
yeah, no, for sure. As far as EOS is, stands for Entrepreneur's Operating System, and it was made popular by Gino Wickman, who's an author of a book called Traction. At the end of the day, an operating system has a lot of components. So it's essentially, if you're a company and you're tracking goals, if you are meeting weekly, daily, monthly, whatever meeting agendas you have, and then if you have scorecards, right? If you have KPIs that lets you know if the company's running well, then this software should be helpful. So you don't necessarily need to follow a framework per se, but if you are meeting, have goals, and then have follow-up action items and things you want to work on, and make sure everybody's on the same page, then we'll be helpful for sure.
one question, and then we got to bring up Dustin here
Yep.
too. But how easy is it for somebody who doesn't know how to use this to do this to implement and get rolling? What's that workload like? Because that's the number one question. Is I'm busy as hell. What's it take for me to get this implemented and actually working for me?
And while we're doing that, if anybody in the chat can answer me why the hell anybody thinks that I'm too busy to improve my business is a good answer, let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear that reasoning. But yeah, Larry, go ahead. Answer Sean's question.
It's helpful, right? It's think of it as like a bicycle for the operating mind, right? It's not going to do it for you by any means, right? Like this isn't some AI god that tells you exactly what to do at the right time. But if you're willing to put in the work, read some books, Great Game of Business, E-Myth, Traction, these are all great books, and put a framework in place and sort of move from the spectrum of chaos operating system at an SMB and move to a process oriented one where somebody's kind of figured out things already for you and just follow that. This is super, super helpful and easy to work with. And we have, again, a lot of self-implementers that do it that way.
Nice. All right, Larry, thank you so much. I think you did a pretty good job. Sean?
We got work to do. You're doing great. Good job, Larry.
All right, we're going to bring Dustin up.
Right.
Before we kick everybody off at the end, we'll bring you up for your 30-second pitch. But great talking to you, Larry. All right, so, Sean, you want to introduce our next guest?
I don't know. Is he here first off? I think that's the first question. Danny, is he here? Is he still here? Just tell me if he's still here.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
There he is. All right.
Yeah, I was putting something in the chat. Yeah, like I said,
I didn't want to
I'm at our home.
I knew.
I'm at our home base in New Orleans, and the weather is nasty. So I had a couple of issues, but fortunately, I have an IT background, so I am back and stronger than ever.
That's called a DR plan in real time, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Hi,
I
Dustin.
love
How you
it.
doing,
All right,
dude?
Dustin. And just to give a quick heads up for anybody that's having difficulties, or if Dustin has to fall off, we will just give us your questions. We'll have contact information. We can always redo this with Dustin at a later date. So if anybody has any concerns.
All right. Yes. So
Giant
Giant Rocketship.
What is this? Yeah. What is this?
What is Giant Rocketship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think of your own help desk. And what is your service manager doing? 9 out of 10 minutes. He's juggling tickets, texts, and time the entire time. So we use AI to ensure tickets get to the right technician. Technicians have the right tickets and they do them at the right time. We do this by integrating into your existing help desk platform. And we do that to minimize training while we also let the MSP scale their revenue while not having to scale their middle management.
Okay. So, in other words, if they use you, their things are automated and simple, and they make more money. That's kind of what I heard.
Yeah, we eliminate a ton of dead time, and the biggest thing and the biggest frustration is, we like to talk huge strategy and help desk, and like we're gonna do like a new pivot for what we're gonna sell and how we're gonna handle it. The reality is humans still do a bulk of the work, And the most common frustration in the help desk is that work gets to the right people, to the wrong people rather. A technician
Mhm.
gets a ticket, they look at it, they're like, I don't have time for this, or I'm not the right person for this. And we solve that completely by how we escalate and dispatch tickets and how we schedule it on their board. And it's all fully automated without a service coordinator or manager having to micromanage those tickets.
So
Perfect.
Dustin, let me ask you a question. You're an MSP, right? You did the MSP thing. You know what it's like to live that life, to grow a company. Why are so many MSPs pro automation until they have to do it for themselves? Like, why is there that disconnect? They do
Great
it for test, they'll do it for onboarding, they'll do it for patch updates. But if you ask them to automate their operations, completely off the table. Why is that?
That's obviously I'm part of the job I have. We do have competition, but the reality is we are in a relatively new space in terms of Giant Rocketship, where we just fully manage your staff and your team. And so a lot of my job is just education. A lot of it's just fear, right?
Yeah.
We buy these help desk platforms, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be any of the big names, and they've made so many promises for how you're not going to have to manage your team. Tickets are just going to magically go where they're supposed to. And then you look in your platform, you've got 5,000 workflow rules for every variation of every priority issue. And if you touch it, it all explodes. And eventually people say, you know what? Every time I hire somebody, I have to retrain on this mess. I'm just going to manage it myself, and I'm going to make it simpler. And that's great until you realize in that model, you can't scale. And so business owners are having to make a decision. Am I going to keep it simple and it's going to be humans driving the management of my help desk, which feels good, but then I have to give up on how much I can scale the organization. And they're making these decisions every day.
So I this Keith actually answers this succinctly. I've heard this answer so many times. My greatest fear about automation is clients pay dearly for service. I don't want too much automation moving us from personal concierge service to our clients pay for. How does this balance service with rules? I'm going to mute myself because my internal screaming is going to become external screaming in a minute. I'd rather you talk to the audience. So, Dustin, how do you address that?
I think that's a great question. So, for clarity, I want to be crystal clear on our mission. Our mission is handing work to the right people and making sure they're doing it at the right time. And so we do not try to solve tickets. That's not what our software does, right? So I do agree there's cause for concern in letting automation really do all of the resolutions. We think that for many types of tickets, you still need a human being engaging with that customer. But the problem is that feels great, but what happens when it's the wrong human being engaging with the customer, right? And what happens to your service managers? They become so overwhelmed with the load of work in their help desk, they just start throwing tickets to whoever has a free slot on their calendar. And now you're violating the very need that you just stated, which is making sure we have really good concierge, like we're making sure we're getting the right people in front of our customers. That doesn't happen because you're just scrambling and putting out fires. Our automation is what gets in there and it frees the log jam and ensures your people are always talking to the customers, talking to the right people, so that as a manager, you're able to step back and work on the big picture things that you guys talk about a lot on this program.
I like that. I think it's you're eliminating the noise and you're curating the experience to the right people, which is important because again, and what case I'll use a case in point. So for Ray with OIT, they have a Discord channel with all these partners on it, right? And created channels for what's supposed to be here's sales and marketing, here's tech support, but yet people are still dumbasses. They still put it wherever they want to some degree. Not all of them. There's a lot of really good ones that follow the rules,
Mhm.
but you can't control that. And how many times were there questions in the sales and marketing chat that should have been in tech support and vice versa, right? And it just get lost. So I can, and that's a simple example of what happens every single day. And I don't know about you, I'm on 15 different Slack groups. I'm on 2 different Teams groups. I'm in a virtual community. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn groups and everything else. So communication is really difficult. And so I can see that being a huge issue, but I love the fact that you're able to automate the front end client facing stuff to go to the right people in the back end.
Yeah, what's interesting to me when I talk to companies, and look, when we talk to smaller companies, sometimes we do work with smaller help desks, but you're really going to see the value of Rocketship when you have 8+ technicians, when you're going to have a full-time dispatcher coordinator. And what I find interesting is there's that line where you see the value, because before that, it's if you go back 5 years and people would say, well, why do I need to automate the alerting from a backup system when I can log in and check the status of the backups myself, right? Like, it's these transitions that happen in the industry where people say, well, we can just do that for ourselves. And finally, a couple of years into it, people are like, why do I need to check the status of my backups? Why can't I be notified when there's a backup that's not working? And that's how we're looking, and that's what we're trying to change in the service model for MSPs, which is, why do you have a person pushing tickets around to technicians? Why do you have a person that's involved in how a ticket escalates in your organization? Like, I understand that's a current mentality, but in 2-3 years, that's not going to make sense when you can double the amount of customers without doubling your technicians or your management. Why would you not go down that road? And so we're really kind of pushing through education, just helping people understand you don't have to manually do everything in your company.
So, and that's the part that kills me, because I always talk about meaningful interactions. I want the people to handle the meaningful interactions. I don't care. No client on the planet cares if you're the one that removed their virus. Nobody cares.
Absolutely. Yep.
Like, nobody cares that you hand selected that ticket and moved it from triage to the tier 1 desk. Nobody cares. They care that the technician appropriately handled the incident, communicated the results, and got the client on their way. And that a computer can't do. Automation can't do. So why would you argue against better tools? So here, let me ask you this question. The big question in my mind is, we're technologists, right? We all have technical. Most MSPs could automate something if they wanted to, right? Thanks to Spiceworks and, and Stack Exchange and ChatGPT. But the question is, why don't they do it themselves, right? Because you can do a certain amount of automation, not context-based automation in most platforms, but you could build something around it. But I have a feeling there's some data science to it, where it's not just throw everything at the sun. There's some intentionality and lessons learned along the way. What were some of the surprises when you were coming up with this stuff?
Yeah, and to speak that, we're not quite as awesome as you guys, but I do have a regular webcast where I dig into auto tasks, for example, on a regular basis. And if you go look,
I'm sorry.
if you look through our videos, I walk you through how you how you can duplicate some of what we do. And just go do it by hand. We show you how you can use some of the workflow tools out there. The problem is it's just kludgy. It's very difficult to use. The lessons I learned is, and if for anybody that's built software, the core feature of software is not hard. Like, I can build a help desk platform, right? Most people can build that. ConnectWise Manage is not powerful because it can manage tickets. It's all the edge cases and the workflows that have been built around that over the years. That's the moat that Manage has, right? And so what I found for Rocketship was, building out an escalation system. It was great at first until every single customer said, what happens in this situation? What if there's a failure? What happens if I have multiple teams with, in different time zones? The complication and the real moat comes from, how do you create and manage all those edge cases? And so over time, Rocketship has really just kind of developed like a perfect flow of tickets through the organization. And that just comes from what our customers have told us. And what really works best for them, not just whether or not I can move a ticket from one queue to the next. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
It answers a lot of questions, actually.
Yeah.
Like tickets. Tickets are great. Love them. Moving on. Anyway.
Yeah. It's like,
John,
it's so 1995.
There was a question there, which I love, that Dr. Zoidberg put in there. There are other dispatchy, scheduley, helpy products out there. I don't know what I mean. I don't know what's that. I don't know whether E we're going to put in there. But so what is your differentiator? No, I don't I think it's differentiators.
I love that question, because on our sales deck, I have a slide for that, because again, we're kind of in a new space here. And so I have our the people that we potentially compete with, like a Time Zest or whoever, and they're a different type of product, but in the mind share of people think scheduling. And so this is a lot of times something I have to bring up. We asked a simple question, and it led to the differentiator. So if you look at tools, even tools being developed today that do Kanban boards or help you automate your project scheduling, they're really just new mousetraps. They're new dashboards that you have to hire a person to use to do the work. And so our question was, what happens if you don't need to hire the next person, right? What if you don't need that new dashboard? What if you don't need a new Kanban board? What if the software just does it for you? And our differentiator is, look, in these products, they look great. They do great work for what they're trying to accomplish. But to me, they're just a better mousetrap. It's just a better looking dashboard. And Rocketship, it has some pretty screens by all means, but it is not a new dashboard. It is an automated way to manage the ticket flow and your technicians in your help desk.
I love that. And it translates into all the other products, which is important. Everything migrates into the other stuff, which is all that matters.
Yeah, what is this street fight that I'm being pulled into?
Let's review James West. Who's going to win?
I don't know.
So,
James wants to take his shirt off and show you what's up. That's what he does.
What you call it? So let me ask you a question, Dustin. Do you have any screen share you want to do before we get into the
I wasn't prepared, but I saw your other question and I was like, scramble, pull up some screens. And so just instead of a simple screenshot, I will I'll bring up some existing screens that we have in our staging environment that I have access to.
Yeah,
and if you want to, I don't know how to share my screen here actually.
Hit the screen with the up arrow and then select your application. Or
the tray that says 0 says a share. It's a regular share button universally. We see everywhere. Just saying.
All right. Can you see it now?
Yep.
All right. So it's in dark mode. If it's hard to see, let me know. I can switch to light mode. This is our default.
No, it's we're MSPs. Dark mode is recommended.
Trust me, we came out with only light mode for the longest time, and that was our #1 ticket. I was like, somebody put dark mode into this thing. So look, this is and for clarity, this is one of your competitors. We absolutely, as part of PitchIT, we are coming out with our ConnectWise adapter. Apologies for showing a hated piece of a platform here, but it's what I scrambled to come up with really quick. The core of
AT is from Star Wars, right? Those are the AT-AT, right?
Yes.
But the core of the product, and we use webhooks, but for demos, we actually walk you through it. Tickets simply go through an escalation process. And instead of you having to look at schedules and what people are doing and how much work, Rocketship figures out who the ticket should go into, forces the technician to put in some basic information. They click submit, and the ticket instantly goes to that next tier, instantly schedules itself and puts itself on their board. That takes about half a second. And there's no service manager that needs to be involved. There's no dead time waiting for somebody to look at the ticket. The ticket knows where to go. And so that greatly simplifies, that one widget right there greatly simplifies what happens. And for the technicians, what we do is we load them up what we call lanes, and we have firm appointments, and this is our own site, because it has a little beep beep core on top. And this is my queued work. And what's really fascinating about Rocketship, if we were to schedule, or rather assign, a critical ticket, it would magically pop itself over here. It would reorganize your entire schedule for the day within about 5 seconds. Knowing that you should work a critical ticket first, it will reorganize your day within a couple of seconds. And the technician is always going to work the next best ticket without you having to look at their schedule. This is the core of it. I can show you a million cool screens, but really the core of it is tickets get where they need to go. Technicians work the right tickets, and they work them at the right time. And for your service managers and your service coordinators, we give them what we call as a heads up display. And this work moves down as the day progresses, and it routes around existing work. And this just lets you very quickly make decisions if you need to escalate or move tickets around, if you want to override what Rocketship is doing. And it will also notify you if technicians, for example, are running late on a phone call or on site, or if they should have taken 15 minutes to do a password reset, but they're on 30 minutes, Rocketship will notify the manager, hey, look, don't go look at everybody's tickets. That's in the weeds. But when something goes off course, it will notify you visually that there's something wrong, so you can intervene in that case, but only in that case. So this is what the core of Rocketship is doing for the organization.
So look, Dean has a question asking why this. why pay extra money to do something with an extra screen if I can already build some of this and manage, or using another vendor or with templates? I have to imagine you thought about this. What is your response to something like that?
Well, you
Why?
can't. And that's the thing. You can absolutely re-implement every tool out there to some degree, right? I can re-implement pretty much any integration that goes into my help desk if you give me enough time and resources. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not trying to say that's not the case. But we have organizations that have several pods, 50, 60, 70 technicians. And what we found, and this is just the numbers, is for every 8 to 10 technicians, an help desk is going to hire one dispatcher. Every single time they're going to do it. With Rocketship, you know how many they hire? They hire one, and they never hire another dispatcher. And the reason is you don't need to bring in more middle management for this. And so, yes, could you re-implement some of what we're doing? Yeah, you can do that in any help desk software, or you can properly train your staff, and they can do some of what we're doing. They won't be as effective. You won't be able to minimize your training needs as much, and it won't be as fast. And so we're a force multiplier in your help desk. And again, the core of it is, yeah, maybe you have a coordinator. You're not going to hire another one, not when you have Rocketship. But if you don't have an automation platform like Rocketship, absolutely, you're going to hire a dispatcher for every 10, 12 technicians. No questions asked.
All right, Dustin, I'm going to stop you there. This is very, very, very interesting. We need to get to the 30-second pitches. I am very interested to see how you distill all of that into 30 seconds. That is going to be a challenging task.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it going.
Let's see how well Sean has prepped you. But first, let's get Larry back on the stage. Dustin, you can stay on and hang out. Larry's going to take primary. We're going to put a 30-second timer on the screen. Larry, this is your show. You got 30 seconds. When the timer starts, you go. And when the timer stops, you're done. Any questions on that?
And
am I pitching to a theoretical MSP or to
Yes.
the PitchIT judges?
PitchIT MSP. This is an MSP show. You're talking to your general audience.
All right.
And after 30 seconds, I'll make the noise very annoying, and you'll know.
All right.
We just made that up, but it sounded good.
All right, Danny, can we get the thing on the screen? The timer?
Come on, Danny. Got one job. We gotta make Larry the big guy. He got to be the main screen.
No, I don't. Larry's already the big guy. All right, Larry, when the timer starts, you got this, dude.
All right.
Danny, drum roll, go.
All right, MSP Nation, I command you to grow. And so the question is, how are you going to do that, right? You're going to do that because you have a business operation systems in place right now. It may be chaotic. It may be from trials and tribulations you've experienced growing your business. It may be a framework you put in place. Use Strety to grow calmly, grow quickly, and efficiently using frameworks that'll show you exactly what to do at the right time, at the right place.
Not bad. Sean, how do you think you did?
I think, I like how you started. You demanded the point. You stated the fact of calling them out. I think it's going to leave a lot to question because you can't unpack EOS in 30 seconds. So you got to figure out a way to talk about what that framework looks like within that pitch. Like not fully, but I have to know, like, are you a product or a service? That's the only thing. Like, again, everybody wants to buy a product before they buy a service because they're usually cheaper. So think about when you go through it.
Cool.
All right, Dustin, you're prepared? You ready for this?
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's light work, right? You got this. All right, Dustin, you know the deal. 30 seconds on the clock. All right. Sorry. It's one of those days.
Is this his first webcast?
Right. I'm not going to answer that.
It's Danny. It doesn't matter. It could be his 1,000th. It really doesn't matter.
All right, Dustin, when the timer goes, go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, IT Nation, Giant Rocketship. So just look at your service manager today. Go spend one day watching how she's working. She spends all of her time juggling technicians, tickets, and time. Rocketship uses AI to ensure tickets get to the right technician. Technicians are always working the right ticket, and they're always working them at the right time. We do this by integrating into your existing help desk. Minimize training, maximum outcome.
Nice.
Okay. Sean,
You,
what's your
covered the
feeling on
pain. You
that?
covered the pain right away. You set the stage and told a story about the person struggling, and then you talked about the quick solution to it, and you actually used buzzwords. You're like a marketing genius somehow, but not really.
Well, I used to do traction in my MSP, so I'm kind of a wizard at this point. Larry would know.
Kind of been doing this. All right. There are a ton more questions in the chat for you, Dustin. Absolutely. Check them out. I will, Dean, so I know you can answer.
How do
most of
we
these
answer
questions.
those? Do we go online to answer them? Because
I will invite you to the MMN Discord where
Okay.
Dean and Jonathan and so many others are. Larry, you're welcome to join too. Sean, you can come by, I guess.
I need one more place to go.
Yeah. All right. So, but that way you can reach out, answer the questions. Any other MSPs in there? There's a couple hundred MSPs in there that might want to talk to you guys. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. We will be back. Our next PitchIT, I believe, is on the 20th, or is it next Tuesday?
Can I make one more comment?
No. Yeah.
Well, I guess I just did. Can I make two more comments?
And now we're on 3. So yeah.
Yeah. So somebody just road trip. We actually are doing a road show where we're going to go visit several of our key clients to do some whiteboarding and talk about the strategy and next steps for our products.
Oh, nice.
We're going to sit down with the customers and we're going to bang out what's the next set of features so we don't imagine what they want. And what I would invite when I join that, I think you said a Discord, if somebody wants us to come visit them, sit down, look at how their pods are structured, how their service desk works. Happy to come whiteboard with you guys.
Wow, very nice. Dustin will fly out to you to sign your deal person. No, I'm kidding. Very nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the MMN Presents the IT Nation PitchIT. We're gonna have to redo some of our graphics, but looking forward to it. You guys have done a phenomenal job. I actually think you both did great. I love
agree.
it, and I love all these questions. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, thank you so much for coming by. Sean, I know you got to run out. What do you got coming up next for anybody that wants to follow you and PitchIT?
Well, actually, I'll be seeing you again on Thursday for another live stream. Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern. I got you covered.
Thank you.
We were supposed to have another one tomorrow with Adam Balenciaga, but we have to move that because he's actually moving to Colorado right now as we speak. So we'll be back on next week with him. But also, everybody watching should stay tuned for Joe Panone and for Marvin B. and for Eric Anthony's recorded podcast he's doing with all these guys as well. So follow them all because it's a good way to get to know them in different ways. And Eric Anthony does a whole game show with them. Like he actually did a nice job of it.
Yeah, Marvin, absolutely go check out Marvin B, Uncle Marv's podcast, Joe Panone, all our friends over. It was fun hanging out with everybody over at IT Nation Secure. Go check them out. They're doing all the, got the PitchIT people doing the media circuit, which is one of the benefits of PitchIT.
Absolutely. Oh, next week we'll be at ASCII Chicago with PitchIT people there too. So
there you go. And on Thursday, 4 p.m., it's Exemplify, and ThreatMate. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Until next time. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Deuces.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.